Start! Hello, everyone. Good evening. Woo! Thank you. So, Simone Milasas will be with us shortly. We just need to arrange something, so just give me a second. Bear with me. Simone? Wait a second. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
More, Gaia. Well, thank you, Gaia.
Well, thank you.
We thought we would use this, seen as, I just want to point out that every male in here has this picture above the urinal, I think. If you're watching online, you don't know what I'm talking about, you're missing out on something. But in the bathrooms, we did some guerrilla marketing, and this picture of me, like this, has been everywhere. Some of the males have sent me things going, I'm a little stage fright, or you've been watching me, etc. So you're welcome. So thank you. It's fun. By the way, this is the Profit Club. It's a club that I do. It's 2 calls with me a month, right? $28. So you should join. So welcome, everybody. So this is, I'm so grateful that you guys are here because I know that you've had a big few days and you're extremely fried. So I'm going to do the best to maybe amuse you instead of going into a full-on business class. No. We've got hecklers in the crowd already. I love it. Well, here's the thing. This is called A Business for a Different World, right? So I wrote the book Joy of Business, which I'm sure I know it's upstairs and a lot of you guys know about it. It's translated into a bunch of languages. And for me, business has always been this really joyful choice that you can make and how you can choose something that you can actualize a difference in the world by your choices. Okay? And business is one of those topics that most people just go running from it. Like, the book is translated into, like, I think 17 or 18 languages. And every single translator says, this doesn't make sense in our language, joy of business. Like, how do we do this? And I'm like, it doesn't make sense in English either. Okay? So it's like, people don't get it. That in this reality, most people don't do business for the joy of it. Do you guys get that? So how many of you have gone running from business, or you've decided that it means something and you've misidentified what that is, so you avoid what you could be choosing, which is your capacities to create something so friggin' phenomenal and amazing in this world. And everything that is, and everything, all the lies that you've brought about business, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. Yes, hecklers, yes. So what does business mean to you? And when I ask you that question, it's like, what comes up for you? It could be cognitive, it could be energetic. So what does business mean to you? And everything that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. You know, there's this story I've told a few times that when I was a kid, my father, he would go off to work and he would be in a suit and tie and he'd have his briefcase, right? And for me, looking at my dad going off to work with his briefcase, it was just felt so important. It had this like, oh, if you're going to be in business, you need to have a briefcase. Like, I'm trying to give you the information of like the insanity of the definition that you create of business. So I thought, well, if you're going to be in business, you need to have a suit and tie and you need to have a briefcase. Years later, I found out that what was in this briefcase was my father's sandwich, an apple, and the newspaper. So it was really important to him, you know? So, but I had created as a kid watching this that that's what it meant. So what have you misidentified and misapplied business as that it isn't? Like if you think of when you were, you're little, and as you get older, what have you seen it as? I mean, gosh, we're here in Europe. There's a hell of a lot of history here of how things have been created and chosen and destroyed and created and destroyed and created and destroyed. So how many of you have a judgment of business or a point of view that you could never be successful in business? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, in shorts, boys, provids and beyonds. So I know we're going to have the other three up a little bit later, and we won't keep you here for too long. I'm going to have the other three up talking to you too about bars in business, okay? You all know what bars is, and we would like to get bars out into every single business in the world. One of my aims, my requests, my desire is my demand of myself, and I guess the request of the universe, was to have every single business in the world know that access consciousness exists so that they could choose it. They don't have to choose it, but so that they could choose it. Jesus Christ, those kids are loud up here. It's really loud. It's okay. So, a business for a different world, right? A business for a different world. What I would like you guys to have a look at is, have a look at you right now, okay? And what it is that you enjoy, what your capacities are. Like, what are the things that you find joyful, that you probably you've probably dismissed them. You've probably decided that they're useless because you're good at it, okay? Most of the times what you're great at, you tend to dismiss and you think is useless because you go, anyone could do that. But no, they can't. That's your capacity. What world do you want to live in? What would you like to create here in the world? Because if every single one of you just looked at your capacities and you went, what would it take for me to create a revenue from this, to create a business from these capacities? Where would the world be? Like, what would we be creating here? So how many of you have chosen to hide your capacities? How many structured realities do you have hiding your capacities rather than letting them out? No matter what it takes, no matter what it looks like. Oh, that's what you don't want to do. You actually don't want to fail, you don't want to, or actually do you not want to succeed? Do you not want others to acknowledge what you're great at? So everything that that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, provids and beyonds. I don't know if Nicole is here. She's blonde hair, takes photos, works with Kalpana. She might not, oh, she's over there, okay. So I watched her today. I was stalking you, but I was watching her. She just had an iPhone, right? And someone was doing some work, and the way she just sat there and she just went, boop, and like moved this iPhone around, and was in the way she was taking photos, and it looked amazing. I was like, she's just kneeling on her massage table, taking these photos. It's such a huge capacity of hers. If you haven't seen her photos, they're amazing. But she has this eye for it. So can you imagine? Yeah, we can clap. I'll put another shout out to Christopher Hughes, who's not here. He's on a boys' night out. But I know Gary and Dane mentioned his classes that he does, the sex classes. If you haven't heard his podcast as well, it's called Between the Sheets. It's incredible. I've listened to every single podcast that he has. Essentially, he's talking about sex, and also it leads to different topics to do with that. Brilliant. That guy is so brilliant at so many things, but that's one of his capacities. And he was recording those podcasts for I don't know, quite a few months. And then I was like, when's it getting out? Like, when can we hear them, you know? And then he eventually got it out, right? And now it's out there, beyond, between the sheets. So what are you great at that you haven't been willing to get out there? That if you chose to expose it, could change the world. And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, POVIDs and beyonds. I mean, Heather here keeps threatening she's going to make a cocktail book. She's amazing at making cocktails, by the way. Not just making cocktails, coming up with the concoctions. So what's involved in that? The formulation. That's not my forte. I can make a cocktail if you give me a recipe, but you tell Heather a couple of things that you like, and she goes, and formulates something, okay? It's brilliant. Now, most of these people are going to just like dismiss this as something that's really normal, average, and real. It's not. What are you great at? Like, what capacities do you have that you've been avoiding that if you didn't avoid it, would allow the world to be a better place? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Si, por favor. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, POVIDs and beyonds. I mean, can you imagine? Gary originally started out, well, he was an antique dealer and he also worked in real estate. I don't know if you guys know the original story. When he went to New York and he started channeling, and this woman was getting a massage and she wanted him to channel while he was getting the massage, and what came through was the bars. Okay? So that's how he started out. Now, that's as weird as fuck, right? And it's like you're channeling and then all of a sudden this information comes out about bars. Every single one of you have had your bars run, and I'm sure your life is far greater from getting your bars run. So this happened, but he didn't dismiss it. He kept following the energy and he kept choosing it. And here he is now, and here we are now. Like, oh my goodness. I'm pretty sure I would have been dead, and I probably would have died from a drug overdose or something, because I took a lot of drugs for a lot of years, and I did everything I could to try and find something that gave me more of me, but it wasn't this reality. This reality never made sense to me. So I think drugs was the first thing I found that went, oh, okay, that's closer to the truth than what I know, you know. It's funny, every time I talk about drugs, I know there's somebody listening or somebody that goes, oh my God, thank you so much. It always helps them. So I'll continue for a second, is the first, the class that we have now called Choice for Possibilities. The first one that I ever went to, I organised in Brisbane. But I also had I had a music festival on the following weekend, and I had a whole bunch of drugs on me that I had organised because that's what I did, went to music festivals, worked and took drugs and blah, blah, blah. And I told Gary that I had these drugs on me, and he said to me, okay. And he said, well, taking drugs is just a choice. I'll never forget that, because he didn't tell me don't take them. He said it's just a choice. And I know I was looking for a reason to not choose something greater. How many of you have been looking for a reason to not choose something greater? I know it sounds insane, because you're like, no, I want to choose everything that's great. Yeah, I want you know, blah, blah, blah. But do you? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, POVIDs and beyonds. So my first Choice for Possibilities class ever. He's talking about drugs. I'm sitting there, and I was like, oh, I just started crying. And he had this break, and he came over to me. There was like 25 people in the class. And he came over to me. This was like 23 years ago, and he said, are you okay? And I went, yeah. I said, you sort of got me on the drug thing. And he said, well, taking drugs and choosing consciousness is like sitting on the edge of a fence. You know, you're on top of the fence. He said, one day, you might get impaled, right? That's not going to be very nice. And I went, okay. And I walked outside and I thought, well, let me have a look at this. And it was a beautiful sunny day, and I thought I can get in my van, and I can drive to the beach, and I can just forget about all of this. Or I can walk back into this class and find out what the hell this guy's talking about, because something about it just matched the energy of what I knew was possible. But nobody else had been talking to me about any of this. Same as you guys, right? When you found Access, you were like, holy shit, I know all of this. This is nothing new. It's just nobody's been talking about it. So I went back in and I went, okay, I'm going to find out what this guy's talking about. And that week, I was I went to this music festival, and I rang Gary and Dane, and I said, hey, I've made a choice. I'm not going to take these drugs. And he goes, okay. And I was wanting him to just tell me how amazing that was, like that I've made the right choice and this was best and da-da-da, because then I could go, you're not getting to tell me what to do, and I could walk away. Again, how many of you are looking for someone to tell you what to do so that you can walk away from you? What if you never walked away from you? You are amazing. And everything that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Por favor, right and wrong, good and bad, poc and pot, all nine shorts, boys, provids and beyonds. So, and I remember Gary said to me, what are you going to do with them? And the drugs. And I said, well, I'll sell them. And he goes, hello. So, okay, there's another backstory to that in a second. And he went, well, I've got a better idea than that. And I said, what's that? And he said, flush them down the toilet. And I went, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was like, baby steps, okay? And I was like, do you know how much money that is? So I was proud of myself because I sold them at cost price. So I didn't actually make a monetary profit, but I was like, there you go, got my money back. And I never took drugs since. So my first choice for possibilities changed my whole entire world and never took drugs since. And I went to that music festival, and everyone, from musicians to everyone, was so used to seeing me on drugs. And I had 2 beers in 3 days, and that was it. I do like a cocktail now, though, I will say. A drink now, Heather. But I didn't take drugs, and I started to choose, like everything Access was for me. I went, holy shit, this is everything that I was looking for. And it just felt way better. Like you didn't have this come down after, a day or 2 days or anything like that. It was just this, wow, I get to have all of me, and I get to choose a different reality. And for me, it was like choosing a different reality through business as well. One of the things that, when you're growing up and people would say, what do you want to do? I was always travel the world and own a business. Or what business do you want to own? I don't know. I just want to own a business. Because for me, I just got this energy that whatever it is that you wanted to create, and you created it as a business, then you could have an impact on the world. You could change something. No matter what that is. Someone told me today, I can't remember the name of the hotel in Vancouver, and they have at the hotel, if you're staying there, you can walk a dog. They have these Labradors that you can go walk a dog for an hour. And I was like, that's so friggin' cool. So you're staying at the hotel and you're like, you want to go for a walk? You can take a dog. You can take a Labrador, take a dog. And I was like, that's a business, right? Like, that's a business. And it's like changes people's worlds. I had a Labrador. Labradors are just like joy, like every moment is joy in their world. But that's a business that is now contributing to that person going for a walk in Vancouver and walking a dog, right? And it's like there is these, Susie started, tech now, right? She's got many, many different things going. But at one point, she was walking her dogs, and then someone was like, hey, can you walk my dog? 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 Before you know it, there's this beautiful photo of Susie holding like this, and she's got like 10 dogs, 10 leads on either thing with 20 dogs or something. And she created this successful dog walking business in Santa Barbara. She liked dogs, she liked walking them, she liked being out in nature. Okay? What is it that you love? What brings you joy? What brings you joy that you could create a business from and could impact the world and change the world? And everything it doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that, we destroy and uncreate it. All right, and on good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys, provids, and beyonds. It's like, what are you waiting for? Like, really, what are you waiting for? Because how many of you, in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years' time, you don't want to do that thing of just going, oh, I wish I'd given that a shot. You know what Dane's been saying? I think he said it on the first or the second day here. And I loved it when he said, just fucking go out there and live. Like, just choose. Just choose. You're not going to get everything right. It's not about getting it right. You actually are going to fuck up. You're going to stumble and fall. And stuff is going to show up, but it's not relevant. What's relevant is what do you choose with that? You know, do you get back up, brush your knees off? Okay, all right, let's go. All right, now what? Every single time I've chosen something where I've lost money, lost a company, had to shut something down, you know, project went haywire, so many things. I've got a list of things of where I've chosen that hasn't created what I thought it would, right? But man, I have gained awareness. You gain so much awareness from every single choice you make. Now, I've also made money, been really successful, was a really integral part of getting Access Consciousness from 4 countries to 187 countries, right? Worldwide coordinator for 18 years, and the business of Access I friggin' love. So that's a huge success. But quite often we don't look at those times that we are successful and give ourselves that credit. We're so willing to look at where we fucked up, lost money, it didn't work out, and then sit in that. So my tool I would love to give you as well with that is asking that question of what awareness did I gain here? And every single time you go to what you've lost, that you've lost something, stop looking at what you've lost and look at what you've gained. Because you always gain. With every single choice, you gain something, okay? So, what's right about this you're not getting? What awareness can you gain with this? What's right about this? Like what's right about you and what's right about this you're not getting? Great tools, great tools, okay? So, what is your reason and justification for not choosing what you could be choosing? Like how many of you have gone, well, you know, I'm too old, I'm too young, my culture, my religion, my family, I don't have enough money. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had conversations with people and they go, I've got this great business idea, but I just need this money. I just need this. No, you don't. You just need to start. Money is not actually a criteria for starting a business. Breaking news. It helps. So everything at that is times of Godzilla, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, in shorts, boys, perverts and beyonds. So how many reasons and justifications and structures do you have for not choosing what you could be choosing? And everything at that is we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, in shorts, boys, perverts and beyonds. Like, what if you just started? Like, one of the things I like to recommend is getting like a notebook, like old school, not just your phone, like get a notebook. And start writing down everything that brings you joy. It could be anything. I mean, for Susie, it could have been walking dogs, right? Going for a hike. Could be baking cookies. It could be anything. Like, what brings you joy? Some people are really good at fashion, okay? It's like, okay, cool, write it down. Like, anything, just write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Even if you give yourself the home play of going, okay, I'm going to write 10 things on this every week. I'm going to add something to it. And then when you want, just open it up and go, okay, which one of these could I create a revenue stream from? Which one of these would be fun for me to do, fun for me to choose? Everything it doesn't allow you to have the awareness of that, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, in shorts, boys, perverts and beyonds. So a business for a different world. So then let's look at the energy of the world. I'm even going to go to the universe. Planet Earth, the universe. You know, something I've been looking at recently, and it might be a little bit too much to talk about right now because I got you guys are really fried, but I'm going to see if I can go there, is if you start looking at you as an individual, right? Am I walking too far across the thing? If you start looking at you as an individual and you start focusing on you as an individual, is there any oneness in that? Because if you are willing to acknowledge the miracle that you are and that we are all a part of like this, you know, huge, massive, amazing planet Earth, universe, etc. And when you start looking at you as an individual, then you start becoming needy of others or need of validation or need of money or need of something. What if you're willing to be needless and give up only having and looking at what works for you and what works for the entirety of the world? So everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot all nine, shorts, boys, perverts and beyonds. Okay, losing the crowd there with that one. So I'll tell you a joke. Some of them are going to be like, Emily's like, no, don't do it. This is the joke. You ready? An Irishman walked out of a bar. Thank you. Some of you are like, what? Rachel's going to get it. Irishmen don't walk out of bars, they only stay in bars, okay? Most of the jokes. Anyway, there you go. So, do any of you guys have any questions? Anything you want to talk about here? Because I love the way you guys are looking at me. It's really endearing. And I'm like, I'm really grateful that you're here, and it's very funny because it's just like, got my best look on. Yeah. Do you want to grab a mic? Over there. And hello, everybody on there. Oh my God, there's Aishiko, Sonia, Rita. Hey, guys. Yes.
Hi, Simone. I'm so happy to be here and to see you live the first time. And it's also my first Global Foundation live in person.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so fried, and I don't know how everything will be, like business. Yeah.
What do you
I'm
mean?
here in the class now, and yeah, everything has fallen apart. Also my business. So I don't know where to start.
Well, what if all of you, and I'm going to address this with all of you, because most people, like, how many judgments do you have of you in business? A lot. Everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts and beyonds. But here's the thing. Who are they yours? Like, what if there was nothing to judge? What if there was never anything to judge? I'm telling you, I have failed big time in a lot of different areas. And I've succeeded big time in a lot of different areas. Neither is right or wrong. It's not relevant. It's the point is, you choose. You choose, you choose. I mean, one of my favorite things when Dane said, he's made more bad choices than most people are willing to choose. What if that's how you started looking at business and you went, you know what, I'm just going to choose. So a tool that I've used a lot is, what's the worst thing that could happen? Like I opened up a shop in near where I live, Pridgeon Beach, Antiques and Possibilities, in July 2020, right? We all know 2020 was an interesting time. And in where I lived in Queensland, you weren't allowed to go in or out of the state, etc. Australia became a jail again, like it did 200 years ago. If you didn't know that, that's how Australia got, started. And I sat there in front of this store going, this is insane. But I went, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? I lose money and it's a tax deduction. Okay, cool, I can handle that. Let's do it, let's go. Like, what if you use that as a tool? What is the worst thing that can happen? Can you handle that? Cool, let's go. The worst thing doesn't have to happen, but if you can handle it, which you can pretty much handle anything, then just choose. So how many judgments do you have of you in business that keep you from choosing what would truly create a successful, phenomenal business here on planet Earth? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, poc and pot all nine, shorts, boys, provids and beyonds.
And I adore your background. You touched me very deep, and yeah, I also cried. Um, yeah, I. How you do that? Like, you know, how have you done that? Like, yeah,
How have I done what?
to getting out of, yeah, of this background and to be so successful in business.
Okay, so one of the things that you've got to look at is it's a marathon, not a sprint, okay? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Like I was just talking to someone today, Rachel O'Brien, about Joy Business. Heather was one of the first Joy Business facilitators. How many Joy Business facilitators do we have here, actually? Hear that? Just, I want to, woo! And when we first started out, oh my God, it was like this, like, you don't tell anyone. It was like this secret club. It was like you have to hide. And it was like, what are you doing, Joy Business? It was like, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. Everyone was like, I'm so embarrassed I'm doing it. I'm really sorry. It was like coming into a class, no, I'm pretending it's a sex class. No, it's Joy Business. Like, it was like, don't admit that you have a Joy Business. And then slowly it was like, okay, I think we're allowed to start talking about this. And now it's become, so most businesses, they'll have a heartbeat of their own, okay? And it's like, you know, I've seriously thought sometimes I was like definitely like pumping the heart of Joy Business for quite some time, to the point where it was costing me a lot of money to keep that business going. And I was in Paris at some point with some people I was working with, and I went, I need to look at this. And I went, okay, what if I just stopped Joy Business? Okay, where would the world be in 10 years, 50 years, 100 years' time? Indulged, great tool. Okay, you're going to make a choice, indulge in it. And then I went, okay, so if I didn't stop Joy Business, where would the world be in 10 years, 50 years, 100 years' time? So for me, it was like this no-brainer. Okay, Joy Business needs to exist in the world. Okay, great, got that information. Now what do we need to choose? Okay, and I said to everyone, hey, can you help? Can you help? Can you help create this and help it create more money? Because at the moment, it's just costing me money. So one of my favorite books, and it's an animated movie. I think it's on, you can watch it on YouTube and Netflix, I think it is. The boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse, right? It's a kid's thing, but it's friggin' beautiful. Every single one of you need to read it, watch it. I think it's translated in quite a few languages. There's this scene in it, and the boy says to the horse, what is the bravest thing that you've ever said? And the horse says, asked for help. He said, asking for help is not a weakness. Asking for help is not giving up. So how many of you have not been willing to ask for help? How many of you have decided asking for help is a weakness? Oh, hello, control freaks. Everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. See, por favor, control freak, right and wrong, good and bad, poc and pot all nine, shorts, boys, provids and beyonds. Like, and that's, what I was talking about before is like when you start focusing on you as an individual, instead of every choice you make creates a difference in the world. Every choice you make, every action you take creates a difference in the world. If you ask for help, you're literally asking for contribution. You know, today in the Global Foundation Manual, we were talking about the 4 elements of creation: question, choice, possibility, and contribution. And I think most people can wrap their head around question, choice, and possibility, but when it comes to contribution, they're like, what the hell is that? Does that mean I'm just supposed to give? No, contribution is like this two-way street as well. And it's like, it's the ability to say, hey, can you help me here? Like, what else is possible? Even universe, show me what else is possible. Universe, show me what else is possible with my life, my business, my revenue streams, all of it and more. My profitability. Right and wrong, good and bad, poc and pot all nine, shorts, boys, provids and beyonds.
I will start there.
Your what?
I will start there.
Start there, yeah. But ask other people for help too.
Yeah. For now, I don't know in which direction I will go.
Every direction, any direction.
Okay.
So another great tool to ask when you wake up in the morning is, where is my energy required today? Because if you are on that control freak spectrum, then you will wake up going, my energy needs to be here, 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 here. I need to do everything. I need to be a part of everything. I need to have a say in it all. Trust me, been there, done that. I'm one of the biggest control freaks in the world, right? So it's like, but you being that person that is always making those decisions, that means you must be a source point, and the business cannot move forward unless you give the tick, unless you say yes. So how many of you have decided that nobody can do the business as well as you? And everything that is times a Godzilla, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, POVIDs and beyonds. That was one of the first tools that Gary ever gave me, and I was like, oh my goodness. That was my point of view. So every single person I was hiring couldn't do the business as well as me. So a great tool when you're hiring people is to ask for people who are better than you to show up, who are greater than you, who are better at connecting, better at organizing, better at accounts than you, better at phoning people than you. Not based on judgment, just based on asking for someone who is greater than you to show up. Ask for that help. Because if you are actually willing to be useless, then you'll have more space for something greater to show up, something different to show up, and it includes everybody else, and you're willing to receive from them as well. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. Did you have a question? Yeah?
Можно на русский?
Ruski. And I'm going to Russia. I'm going to Russia. I'm going to St. Petersburg for Choice for Possibilities if you want to come. I'm very excited. I really like Russia. In a few weeks, do you like the way I say that? Because I'm like, I don't even know what date it is right now. I'm in Europe for 2 months. So this is the first class in Europe in 2 months, and I'm here for 2 months, a whole tour. So, Sergey, amore.
Да?
Yeah?
Можно? Я не собиралась сюда идти, так как для меня люди, которые создают бизнес, это инопланетяне.
I wasn't going to go here because people who do business, for me, they're like the aliens.
Say that one more time, Sergey.
I wasn't going to come here
Yep.
because for me, people who do business, they are the aliens.
Aliens.
И я подумала, ну хорошо, побуду среди инопланетян, здесь посижу. Если
And I
такое, что...
decided I will be just sitting here quietly.
But
Если такое, что есть люди вообще для бизнеса, а есть люди не для бизнеса.
Is there such thing that some people are good in business, and some of them aren't?
some of them doing business or some of them what?
Some of them good in business and some of them not.
Not. Do you
Нет,
mean
одни
like
созданы для бизнеса. Нет, одни созданы для бизнеса, а другие люди, ну, просто не созданы для бизнеса.
Some people are made for business, and some people are not. Is there such a thing?
What do you know? What have you defined business as that it isn't? Like, when you're a little kid, it's like, what did you play with? Like, did you, play shop? Did you, what were you doing? Like, everything. One of the things I say is, if you wake up in the morning and you have blood running through your veins, you're in business. Okay? Because your life is your business. It's like, how are you living? How are you choosing to live? Like, how are you navigating? How are you pivoting? Like, and how are you changing the trajectory and choosing, making your choices, right? Business doesn't necessarily have to be that description I gave of my father wearing a suit and tie with a briefcase going off to work. Like there was a lady I had a session with one day, and she just was determined to say that she hated business. She was an artist, painting, right? And I said, do you like painting? And she was like, I love painting, but I don't like business. And I'm like, but painting is your business. You know, like, I'm going to use Heather again as an example. It's like she does many different things, including being a joy business facilitator, but also she's the cocktail making thing, right? You could go, oh, well, I just love making cocktails. But what if that can become a revenue stream in so many different ways? Okay? Start looking at what brings you joy. Seriously, start looking at what brings you joy. I gave you these examples for like Susie walking dogs. She was walking dogs and created this successful business, of a dog walking business. What brings you joy? What brings you joy? Like, what does bring you joy? What's 1, 2, 3 things that you can think of that bring you joy?
Это видеть, как дети развиваются, как они меняются. Я работаю в детском саду, и Access и знания пытаюсь интегрировать как бы там и обучаю этому воспитателей.
It's the kids who, when I see them develop, when I see them progress or change, and I work in a kindergarten, and I try to implement some of the access tools in my work.
That's amazing. So empowering kids to know that they know. Brilliant. So here's the thing, guys, and this is what I'd like you to play with, okay? So this is an example. So empowering kids to know that they know. Now, this is one track you're walking down, and you're going, okay, so you're at a school and you're, you know, teaching kids, blah, 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 empowering them. But there are so many different avenues that you could go with that. So start looking at it and even extrapolating and going, I mean, nowadays, with what we have with the internet and everything, it's like you're not just limited geographically. Like, you're not just limited to where you are. You could choose anything from, you know, I don't know, I'm not sure what you can get away with in Russia at the moment, but YouTube channel, whatever, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff that you could do. Writing a book, audio, anything, and then getting that out. Like, there's so many different avenues that you can take from one thing that brings you joy. But you have to choose. Rather than sitting back just talking about it, it's like, what could I choose with this that could create a change in the world, could create me way too much money and never enough? What if that's what you're asking from everything that brings you joy? Because you don't have to do the things that you don't like in order to bring you money. How many of you have decided that going to work has to be the boring thing that brings in money? What if it wasn't? What if it was the joyful stuff? Like, this is our life, let's live it.
Огромное спасибо. Я действительно разделила создание денег и бизнес. Это две разных планеты для меня были.
Thank you so much. Huge gratitude, because I divided creation of money and business. I separated them, the two.
I know, and that's what I was hoping to just give a little chip away at that tonight, because so many of us have put business in this category over here, and it doesn't have to be. It can be included with everything. And I will say there's a short story. My father was an accountant. He passed away many years ago, and I was always like, business. I want to have a business, right? But for me, the way I had defined business was creation. Nothing about the finances. I was really good at doing everything possible without money. Like, talk about avoiding money, refusing money, losing money, spending money. Like, it came, get rid of it. Like, I mean, the second book I wrote was called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. It's true, right? I've been there, done that with money and all the different energies of money. So for me, business was creation. And my father drew me this graph one day, and like this pie graph, right? And he said, look, you have to know about this. And he drew this big section of the graph is the finances. And then he drew like creation and all these other things in there. And I was horrible. I was like petulant and hands on hips. And I was like, that's not my graph. This is my graph, you know, and drew a different one. And I said, this is creation. And I drew this small little slither for finance. And he looked at me with so much patience and said, Simone, if you don't know about this, and pointed to the finance, he said, you can't have this. And I just knew he was correct at that moment. I was like, I need to start paying attention to the finances. I need to start looking at the, you know, my expenses, everything, all part of it, because it's inclusive, it really is. So what have you misidentified and misapplied business as that you're excluding all the other elements that create this whole, I'm going to say beautiful, because it is to me, this whole beautiful, like, realm of possibilities that is available to every single one of us. And everything that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, in shorts, boys, perverts and beyonds.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I was actually really grateful. Gary said to me today, he said, you know, you've made me excited again to look at different aspects of business. Because I'll always listen to something and then go, what is that? Like this morning, after meeting with you, Alex, 4:30 a.m. this morning, because I've been waking up super early, I'm pinging David about sovereign banks and going, okay, what's this sovereign bank thing? Because I like looking at stuff. It excites me to, I might never use something, but I like engaging with it and researching and finding out more about something. How many of you have decided that you have to have a degree to find out more? No, you don't. You just have to ask a question. You've got Google, you've got everything, you've got other people that you can ask a question to. And I'm sorry, David, but all accountants and lawyers don't know everything either. It's like, but you can have consults with a hell of a lot of them. Go book a consult. Most of them will give you a consult for free, right? A lot of them will, or a very low price. Spend 30 minutes, 60 minutes, ask them questions, tell them the situation you're in, what else is available. You will learn and gain so much awareness. Doesn't mean you have to choose any of it, but you've just gained a whole lot of awareness, so you have this whole lot of choice. There is so much choice available for all of us. But choose what works for you, choose what's light for you. Like I would talk to so many different people, and then I'll be like, you know, you're over here in this project, and you're like, oh, hang on, what that guy said then, just ping, and it's like, you know, bring that in, or bring this in, or bring this in, okay? Choose what works for you, but you got to choose, you got to choose, you got to choose, you got to choose. And every single one of you is so capable of creating a hugely successful business. You really are. I'm not kidding. And you're like, oh, Simone doesn't know my story. Yeah, I don't care about your story. You're actually really capable of creating something. There's, I know I'm sort of going to finish up in a second soon and bring on the other guys, but there's any of you who have decided that you are not capable, right, for whatever reason and justification you have. Another story I like to refer to is a guy called Cesar Millan. How many of you guys know Cesar Millan? Okay, he's a dog whisperer, okay? And he's a very successful dog whisperer. He has his own TV show, has his own, you know, programs, all this sort of stuff. It's translated into many different languages. He's from Mexico originally. But do you know how he got to the US and started creating this? He was a wetback. Do you know what a wetback is? It's a Mexican that literally, you know, escapes from Mexico into the US by swimming with nothing. Nothing. So he arrived in the US with absolutely nothing, nada. And he's hugely successful. So what are you using as your reason and justification for not choosing? And everything that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. And we're right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, in shorts, boys, perverts and beyonds. I know you guys have questions, and I'm pretty sure I need to bring on the other guys because I think we need to. So let's just do one, quick. Are they quick?
Yes.
I don't know, I say they're quick. Is it like short words? What even is that?
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm doing quite a lot of businesses, and I love to explore it with the Access Consciousness tools. So I started business really with the Access Consciousness tools.
Can you speak a little bit into the mic?
Oh, sorry. I started business with the access consciousness tools because I was really not fitting into any company, so I had always to do something who no one could control me. And now I have, I think, 5, 6 businesses, and one business is also with employees. We have 50 employees, and it's kind of, this is a challenge. So to do business on my own, it's so easy because I can do what I want and I can perceive what I perceive. If I have different kind of people around me, so we have a production, we have a laboratory, and it's really like sometimes I see, oh, it's so fucked up with this person, but the person is there. So I would like to kill him or her, but she's still there. And then somehow it's changing. Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah,
How
I
to
do.
deal with employees?
So, well, it's not how to deal with them.
How to deal with me?
Yeah. You asked.
That's a good answer.
You need to run. What would happen if I was out of control, out of definition, out of form structure, what would happen if you're out of control, out of form structure significance, out of linearities, out of concentricities, and out of limitations with being a control freak of magnitude?
Okay, cool.
And everything at that is times a Godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, provids, and beyonds. Can you imagine where access consciousness would be if Gary just wanted to control it? Like some of the choices he's made over the years. I remember when the facilitators were like, I don't want to do bars in my classes, you know, and they just wanted to facilitate foundation but not bars. And so he was like, right, let's get bars facilitators. And I remember he made that choice and he goes, all right, so what are we going to do? This, this, this. And he said, they need to do a bars class with at least 3 different people. And he said, because I'm sure at least one of them's going to know what the fuck they're doing. And that's why he did that. I love Gary. And it's like, boom. Now we've got thousands of facilitators and practitioners around the world. But he's willing to instill chaos in the business. So how many of you are willing to instill chaos in the business and just let it be?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Because as you say it, I recognize that I'm doing like chaos to do the different kind of businesses. So I'm starting to travel somewhere else just to lose control, not somewhere else. Just I ask what would be a contribution. So perhaps I should do this a little more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I tell, I mean, I'm not kidding. I have been a control freak like my whole life. And I remember Gary said about 4 years ago, I think it is now, when I started to look at a lot of the control stuff, the force stuff, being right, righteous, like all of those cards, I could pull them all out and do them better than any of you, okay? But I also realized it wasn't creating anything greater. And it's possibly been one of the hardest things that I've looked at is all of those, and they all hold hands together, you know? You do control, you've got force, you've got looking for a result, you've got pushing against, you've got all of them, okay? And you think it's going to create something greater. And I remember Gary said to me, Simone, you've managed to change the world by controlling the schedule. Now what if you just change the world? Even look at the energy of that. That's way easier. Like we honestly would be making our life so much easier when you choose relaxation and you choose to give up control. Absolutely. And control is in all of those structures that you think are more important than the malleability that you can have and that chaos. So all the structured processes that we've been running over the last few days, like anytime you get to something that has this like this solidity, or you just feel like you hit a brick wall or something, just POC and POD the structures. You don't need to work it out. You don't need to judge yourself for it. You just need to POC and POD the structures. And if I wasn't choosing a structure here, then what system of possibility could be available?
Oh, good.
And everything at that is times a Godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. All right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, provids, and beyonds. And you'll end up being really grateful for people too. Yeah. Like, I spoke to Sarah Watt this morning, and you know, there's a whole bunch of people who've got so much, like the staff here, holy shit. So actually, can we just say thank you to the translators, the oracles, the hosts, the online hosts, the tech crew, everyone, like the crew behind the scenes that are, oh my God. It's amazing, phenomenal, yeah, huge. Like, and then there's even people like, you know, the payments, dotting I's, crossing T's, there's so many people. And Sarah left me this message this morning and she was like, God, it's all just like, there's so much ease. But the thing that she said that really pinged for me was that her and Guy and everyone else were sort of asking everyone for help. Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And she said, we've got so many phenomenal people that are so brilliant at everything that they do. But if you try and control it, then you've just negated everybody else's brilliance, rather than nobody is going to do something same as you. Nobody, okay? That's literally a fact. But what if you allow them to do it the way they would do it, so that you can all be more? And for me, that's the world that we can create through business that creates a huge change. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I know you have a question, but I think on that, I'm going to end here and invite these guys up. I'm like, just turn around. Yeah. It's very slippery up here in these shoes, so that's why I've been slipping and sliding across. We're going to have, we are going to stop and start. But I do want to mention, I've got the Profit Club. I don't always wear my yellow suit and advertise myself on here, but I will. But this is, like I said, it's $28 a month, and you're in a Telegram thread. It's translated into a bunch of languages. You get 2 calls with me a month. We've only been going for a month. It's so much fun, and you get a whole lot of random stuff. So if you're interested, scan, there's a QR code somewhere or whatever, or just look it up. We'll send you the link. I'm also doing Business Done Different class in Budapest, Hungary next week. Yeah, woo! Crowd goes wild. But I really do actually want to point out that I'm so proud and honoured to be facilitating the Access Consciousness tools with Joy Business and with all of the Joy Business facilitators. So can I just ask you guys, if you're a Joy Business facilitator, can you please stand up? Please stand up. Because they're amazing. And I know there's yeah, stand up. If you're a Joy Business facilitator, because these guys, they're phenomenal. Like, if you have something up with business, you want to go further, you think you want to run away from it, find one of these guys and go to a Business Done Different class, or choose a private session or something. Because literally, we can change the world if you start choosing like these tools in business, okay? So, and these guys are phenomenal, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much. And so, stop. Thanks, guys. Woo! Kisses for all you guys.